Go
Okay.
ahead.
So my next question really was there ever a time that you thought the book fair would not continue?
No, no, no. That never come to my head.
Good.
No, no. I don't think like that, though. I must say that I am not the type of person that thinks like that. I'm not well right now. Everybody know I'm not mobile. I'm not moving a lot. I'm still healing from my illness. But I didn't think that because I ill that the book fair shouldn't continue. And I don't think I'll be ill forever. Honestly, I'll probably be ill this year. But I don't expect next year for book fair I'm gonna be ill again. So I gonna be up and running. And I plan to go away now. so 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 I gonna be
You
here for
better stay here.
huh?
You better stay here.
Yeah, I ain't going nowhere. I ain't going nowhere. So I gonna be here for book fair for a long time. I never thought that at no time that we should say the book fair. To me, there's no reason.
Mhm.
And I need to say this. The year after Irma, again, that was the only time we had a 2 day book fair like no. The
Mm.
year after Irma, 2018. Um, I remember Max, Nicole, Steve, the other young lady, I forget her name now. They called and they asked me if a book fair going on. I said, yes, we're gonna do the book fair in June still, even though we had a hurricane. They said, okay, Shuja, we're gonna pay our way and come to the book fair this year. We're gonna make sure that we come. To me, that was a plus because over the years we have invited artists and we pay for their tickets, we pay for their hotel,
Mhm.
and some of them we have to give them a honorarium and that kind of stuff. Others do it for us for free sometimes. But what I'm saying is the book fair, the the folks that we have built relationship with over the years, they they make sure say we're going to be there. We're going to be there for it. Because the book fair mean a lot to them. People have told me, Trisha, you know what we like about the St. Martin Book Fair? The book fair have soul. I don't know what they mean by that. They really mean that the book fair touches them so deep that
Exactly.
they feel that it's a family thing. And honestly, that's what I wanted the book fair to be, though. I must admit that that's what I wanted. I wanted Caribbean people to feel comfortable. And I joke about this all the time with friends and people who knows me knows that I'm a carnival person too. I love carnival. Okay? And I always make fun when I see the number of Caribbean people, especially from Guadeloupe and Martinique now, that comes to St. Martin for our carnival. Most of the last weekend when they have all the big shows and for the parade and for the juve, people come to carnival from these islands. And I remember one time we was at our favorite place where we go now to eat late at night. um, I remember meeting some youngsters from Guadeloupe, and I was having a conversation. Guys know I'm a Creole speaker, so when I hear them, I speak Creole. They ask them where they from. They say they from Guadeloupe, and we were talking, and they said they was here for carnival. I met them there, and they said they was here for carnival. And I tell them, I'm so applauding that because I think Caribbean people supposed to go to the different islands and feel comfortable doing it too. Don't feel uncomfortable. Don't let the crimers, the criminals who doing negative things in the country make you feel like you shouldn't go to this country. Okay? Um, don't let the stigma of language stop you from going to another country, another Caribbean country. So I am happy when I see Caribbean people do that. And that was the objective to me, one of the main objectives that of the book fair, that to have Caribbean people conjugate in one space and appreciate each other and share thoughts and share work and share ideas. And listen, the relationship that I personally have built with Caribbean people. I tell people when I wrote the play Spitfire, the Lucas story, um, I sent it to my brother in Grenada. I sent it to my brother in Trinidad. Our brother who was here last year, Danabang Kwabang, he
Mm.
came here to the house and he edited it. So when you take your work and you send it to all these people, then we had a round table discussion with people like Fabian Loda, Lasana, Lenny. I had a roundtable discussion, Rochelle, Pfizer. We had a roundtable discussion about the play. I remember Merlin was present at that, and she said, when we walk out, she said, Shuja, but I did destroy that play, but you can still write it. I said, but now I'm supposed to write it. Because now that they critique it and they tell me where all the errors were, is when you're supposed to now write it. So that in itself, if I didn't build the relationship, if we didn't have the book fair, people like Funjo, the late Funjo from Trinidad who passed, I wouldn't have to send him my work. My friend U.S. Peters from Grenada, if I didn't build a relationship, and he was a past book fair guest, Funjo was a past book fair guest. Well, Wayne was a past book fair guest, and again he was a guest last year. Lanabang, Kuabang.
Oh, yeah.
If I didn't exchange that, if we didn't have them at the book fair and I didn't build relationship with them, we wouldn't be able to. Even my brother from Antigua, who's also a playwright and a calypso writer as well, and a novelist, our brother Dobrin Omar. If all of these brothers is who I share my work with, and let them say, this good or that ain't good, and the feedback, I didn't take it as negative. All I said is something that helped me enhance my work. And that was that's a direct result of the book fair.
Mm-hmm. I think as I was prepping this afternoon, I was thinking of what kind of questions I would ask. And I was trying to pinpoint which book fair was my favorite, and I honestly could not pick one. There was no one year that stood out to me. The only thing that I remembered, or the thing that stands out the most is the relationships with these people. And when they're there, we all feel like family. I can't explain it. And it comes back to that thing that they said. There's a lot of soul in the book fair. And it's that feeling that I get during that time, meeting all these people from around the world and just, showing them St. Martin, what St. Martin has to offer and spreading, awareness. That kind of stuff brings me a lot of joy. And I think that's what they mean when they say the book fair has soul. I know one of the hallmarks of our fair has been the ability to bring Caribbean and international voices to St. Martin. Um, why was that important for you to expose our community to authors and thinkers beyond our shores?
I must give Lasana a lot of credit on that, because he was one of the persons who said, Shuja, we got to go beyond the shores of St. Martin. We have to invite other writers. I didn't see that. I more focusing on Caribbean writers. I must say that. Okay? But when he came up with the idea, because sometimes you're timid too, you're gonna write a dandy cat and expect dandy cat to say, yeah, come in. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And she was an experience of this world. Listen, I'll get back to your question, but let me just give this example. So Danny Cat was after the hurricane. That book fair after the hurricane, where I said we started on a Friday night, like we started tonight, like we started this weekend. And she told me, well, she had other functions. She couldn't make it from the Thursday. So we kind of readjust the schedule around her, because we really wanted her to deliver the keynote address. And she came the Friday afternoon. And I picked up at the airport. But the opening was at Motorwall. Y'all remember that? At the showroom at Motorwall. That's the first time you're using Motorwall showroom. And so I told her, this is a space where we was coming from the airport. And I told her, this is a space where we're going to be opening. I have something to drop off there. Some speakers like to see the space where they're going to be speaking. If she doesn't mind, she said, yeah. So I get to the place, the showroom, pack up, and I tell her, I came out of the car and she came out of the car. And I went to the back of the car to pick up the bottle of wines and the different thing that I had to drop off at the showroom. So I take up the box and I walk and go and I looking for her and I can't find it. Where is she gone? She went to the back of the car, take up another box to walk and come with it. I said, but wait a minute, you might get, you ain't supposed to be working. She said, I'm not your guest. I'm part of this book fair too. First time I meet a woman, and she's supposed to be this big award-winning writer. And you think that some people have this chip on their shoulder, and you think she's a whole bourgeois. And she said, no, Shuja, I'm here to help in any way possible. And she lifted up this heavy box and come near with it too behind me. And I tried to tell her, put it back, put it back. She said, no, it's not too heavy. I can lift it up. And that one had really catch me off guard, right? Because I didn't ask her, and I didn't plan to ask her. But she just see that there was work to be done. And she didn't even ask me if the next box need to come out, because she just imagined that they need to come out. She just went and pick it up. But it again shows you the kind of relationship we have established over the years, that people feel so comfortable and they feel that they could share this moment with the book fair. And that way they say the book fair have soul. That one had freaked me out. And that book fair was one of the good ones, I must say. I remember that night when Lovelace read from his work. This is not a movie. Remember that? You remember that reading? And he rocked the whole crowd. But you see, those are the kind of memories I have about book fair that helps me to say all of them was good. All of them was special in their own way.
Exactly.
This weekend again, the 5th and the 6th of June is going to be special in the same way, because we're going to hear things and hear from authors we never hear from before, people that I didn't even know was writing. And we still extend an invitation to authors to come. If we can't get you on a program again, but you could be part of the audience and have questions and discuss. You could come and set your table up at the opening ceremony and or at the university during the whole course of the day. Sell your books. We don't charge anything for those venues. We give you a free space so you could sell the book, because our idea for us is to promote literature.
Correct.
And we really look forward to having other authors who are going to be looking at this program to just come to the book fair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the book fair has always gone beyond books. So we have workshops, we have panel discussions, social commentary, and cultural dialogue. Why was that important to incorporate all those different facets into the fair?
Listen, I said this. The book fair is a space to learn. And if we want to write, we need to have an idea about everything. So if we had a workshop on Galberry, we had a workshop on hair, we had a workshop on dance. We had a workshop on all these things. You remember Nicole?
Filmmaking.
Baking. We had a workshop on baking. We had a workshop on cooking. You remember the brother from thing who did the cooking? We had a workshop. We had when Roland did a portrait and did painting.
Mm-hmm.
So we had workshop on all these different facets, because these are part of the St. Martin fabric. These are part of the St. Martin arts and St. Martin culture. So if you're going to be writing about St. Martin, I ain't expect you to write that be fantastically French and delightfully Dutch. I expect you to write about the St. Martin that we are promoting. So we're confronted with that stupidity, the absurdity of claiming our country for other people. So we, as Book Fair Committee, decided not to go that route.
I have one final question, and I want to kind of focus more on the authors being featured. 23 years ago, we didn't have that many published local authors. Today, we have enough to feature an entire fair. Many of them have served on the committee. They volunteered over the years, and maybe they attended workshops or launched books through the book fair. What does this transformation mean to you? And did you ever imagine that a book fair would help to cultivate a generation of local writers?
Okay. I was saying that I had something to share. I didn't know you had that question, but that's a question that I want to deal with. Why I'm saying that I have something to share.
Okay, go ahead.
Tamara was at the first book fair. She's a published author today.
Mm-hmm.
Faiza was part of the book fair. She's a published author today.
Ralph.
Ralph is
Mm-hmm.
part of the book fair. He's a published author today.
Exactly.
Now, I am saying this to say, I am certain, I am 100% sure the book fair have impacted it. I have seen Tamara talking with Kamau. You know how it is to get audience with Kamau, Brathwaite. People in Barbados don't get that. And she's talking with Kamau with her pen taking note.
Mhm.
If you get a chance to share your poetry with Kamau, Brathwaite, that only could be positive. Book fair is what caused that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's the first aspect of it I wanted to look at, the creative work that came up from these young people who are today published authors because of their stints or their time that they spend in the book fair. That's the first thing. The second thing I want to talk about is the number of people that passed through, the young people that passed through the book fair that went on to university and completed their degrees. Odeli, you came in the book fair, you were either, I don't want to give you age. Okay, okay. But
But
you're
10.
10.
almost,
I was 10.
yeah, you were 10. Okay. You check the list of young people that passed through the book fair because we promote education among us and show them the importance of knowledge, that they felt that they should go on to get their degree. And to me, that's how you build a country. This is not just a book fair committee now. This is how we build the country so that we could
Exactly.
move on to the next level. Most of you guys who are part of the committee today, that is taking the whole thing in charge. I met you guys at the university. I met Rhoda. I met
Yeah.
Odelia at the university. I met Azaria at the university. I
Yeah.
met Yaki at the university. I met Leandra, Merlin, all these Conair. I didn't know you young people before. Just when I was at the university doing my little degree is when I met you guys. And 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 you guys volunteered to be part of the book fair.
So, the future of every literary movement lies with its youth. Over the years, we've had a children's room, which has become a beloved feature of the fair. We have word obsessions, which provide opportunities for young people to engage, with important social and cultural issues. Cindy, I know how passionate you are for the young people, so I want to shift to you. I want some feedback. Why was it important to create a dedicated space for children? And how do you see that going forward? What is your vision?
Well, I must say that I met that space that was provided there. So I just, jumped in and helped, curate it some more and to make sure that we give them a voice because unfortunately, in various spaces, we tend to tell them what they should be concerned about. Right. So we want to create that space, that energy that Suja is talking about in terms of aspiring to do more, that you want to use, you're in a space that's cultivating that an environment that's challenging you to write, challenging you to put yourself, outside of yourself, really, to express what's in your mind and your thoughts to contribute to this space. So we think it's very important to provide an avenue or venue for our youngsters to tell us what they're experiencing, and then hopefully through writing or self-expression we can give them an outlet, an alternative outlet, right? Because we know, especially now, most of our youngsters are really more engaged, and not saying that technology is bad, but the phone is really taken over their free time, right? So this is, I'm going to plug in here as well, our relationship this time with the Climb Foundation, who has their program, Drop Everything and Read. They're planning for a book party on July 8th. So they're also encouraging people to come to the St. Martin Book Fair, buy your book from your local author, and create your own book party, or look for one of the venues that's doing so. But what's also key, and I know Merlin is quiet tonight, but I want to mention our Caribbean social studies program, because I think that also was inspired, through the book fair, right? And that is also an avenue that we encourage our youth, in the past. That was kind of the gearing up before the book fair, to have the social studies competition be a part, of the whole repertoire, which we're going to get back to, right? Because we were building the study guide for that and expanding it even more with the different developments throughout the region, right? So that's also a significant part, I would say, that is a like kind of semiotically works along with this engine of education that we're trying to promote, this literacy we're trying to promote, and there's just vast of knowledge that we have experience, um with. But what's also important, I think, is that we are telling our own story. I think if anything else that you get out of this experience, or this piece today, and the idea of Swoliga Flambeau, is that we want to hone in on writing our own story, right? We acknowledge those who have passed on and those who are in the process of doing so, but to encourage you to be a part of this literary space, because a lot of people, authors out there, scholars out there, have written about St. Martin, and when I read about it, I'm like, they didn't quite understand that scenario, or they are representing us in not the best light, right? We're not the victors in those stories that we're reading. So I'm encouraging you to really, and our youth, to really think about that, hone in on that, and that's a part of your self-determination to charter your own destiny, right? You have to write your own story. You can be the victor in your own story once you write it, because that's what they're doing for us. And at this point in our history, that is so important, along where we are also cognizant of the reparations movement, that's ongoing, throughout the region. And that's a part of that narrative. Who's to say what we should be concerned with? Who's to say that these are things that we should be demanding, right? The other scholars, I would say more Eurocentric scholars, would tell us that we shouldn't be concerned about that. It has already passed. We know in the South, the terminology that's consistently being used is slavery past, right? And we want to say that term is kind of going against the grain of what we know the narrative to be, right? There's no such thing as pass. If you don't acknowledge your infraction, that means it didn't even exist. And those individuals who were, I would say violently, you know, um, challenged during the evil period of slavery, as I like to refer it as, we need to really hone in on that narrative, and we do so by writing our own story. So that's what I want to, take away from,
Let me,
what you all take away from this piece. Yes.
let me just add to that, and Cindy, that words means a lot. And if you continue saying things like slavery past, then people start psychologically thinking that that's the past. So you don't need to worry about it anymore. But what we are saying, because of the impact that they have on us up to this day, we need to deal with repairing the damages that it caused. So you can't look at it like it's just a slavery past. But they have coined a word to make sure that they continue saying it. That's why I had to coin a word too, saying, and I don't say slavery without saying the evils of slavery, because it was an evil period. Okay? I don't use the word, to me, the two words goes together. The evil period of slavery. That's it. That's what it is. It was an evil period, or the unholy institution of slavery. Those are the words I use to describe slavery. But that was just a parenthesis to add to what you said.
Okay. So we spoke about, the initial lighting of the flame and how we persevered over the years. I want to look a little bit at the future. What do you hope the St. Martin Book Fair will look like 10 years from now? And I want both of you to answer that question. Suja, you go first.
Okay, let me just say, I would like to say things that might sound impossible. I remember reading someplace one time that there's 1 million people that goes to the Argentina Book Fair.
Wow.
I mean, you guys can imagine 1 million people at a book fair. Okay, I would love to see the book fair have the kind of crowd of Juve man in there.
Mhm.
Now you're gonna say, yeah, I should get by, you exaggerated. But I know there's a possibility that if you continue doing what you're doing and you create the space and you get people to understand your vision, they're gonna subscribe to it as well. So if you ask me that, I could say some things like that. But who am I to determine exactly what's going to happen in another 10 years? I
Just
only could,
curious.
yeah,
Just
I
curious.
could I could only envision things that I think would be that in a positive that I would like to see happen. But if that doesn't happen and the book fair is still around, I am still happy. I just don't want the book fair to stop.
Okay.
And as long as I'm here and I could contribute, I am going to do what it takes so that it doesn't stop. But 10 years from now, I would love to see a huge crowd of people subscribe and come and the local authors who come to sell the book sell out 100%, and we don't have a challenge in terms of raising funds to do book fair. All of those kind of positive things I would love to see.
Okay. Cindy?
Yes, I see a very necessary space for the book fair in the future, right? Um, I think that the book fair is evolving in its own way. It's moving and shaping to what our experience is and the needs of our society. So I do hope that our book fair continues to expand and it meets the needs of the day, right? Because sometimes the things that we discuss at our book fair are how you got it. We have courageous conversations at our book fair, right? Sometimes we don't have those conversations outside of that space. People are afraid to express themselves, but we want to make sure that this is the space that you can do that to, contend with your ideas. Imagine a new St. Martin within the context of the conversations that we have at the book fair. Inspire, I would say 50 times 50 or even more, exponentially more authors from St. Martin. It's nothing like going into a bookstore and seeing somebody that wrote a
Yeah.
book. you
Yeah.
know is nothing like it. It's nothing like it. So I just encourage our population to write. I know, unfortunately, sometimes people may make it seem that writing is just for a select few, but that's what you have editors for, right? To help you in that process, because we all have something to say.
Correct.
Our tradition really is an oral tradition in the Caribbean, right? But this oral tradition can also get into a book with the assistance of those who are trained in that space, and when I will assist you and bring that book to life, right? So that's my goal. My goal is that people, my goal, my vision is that people feel so comfortable, from the space that we've curated, to say, I can do that too. I can write a book. I can, give life to my town, my village, my life experience. I can write about the life of my grandparents, because that is missing from our lexicon and our literary experience. Because unfortunately, people try to tell us, "Oh, that's not how it was back then," or "That never happened in St. Martin." That's not true. You'll be very surprised how colorful our history fabric is, and what has occurred, and we all can remember those stories from our grandparents and what they told us about their days growing up on St. Martin. So I just hope that this is a space that we continue to encourage that. I also hope that we grow a better relationship with our educational system, with our schools, right? Because we do have challenges sometimes getting into the classrooms. I know, because of the timing of book fair, there's exams and
End of
stuff
the
like
school
that.
year,
But
yeah.
yes, but I do hope that we're able to make more progress in that way, that we can make more ground in the educational system. Because I think whenever we go to the classrooms and we see how students like really light up when they're able to meet authors, right? And even not only the international artists, but local artists, people that they see in the streets or in their grocery stores, and they know that this person has written a book. That's something amazing to see. So I do hope that we have a better relationship with that space, that we don't have to be pounding down doors and say, let us in, right? I hope we do that. But yes, I would like for our book fair to be a consistent part of the calendar of the island, because that also is a challenge. Yes, we are very clear on certain experiences. We're very clear on Carnival. We're very clear on our festivals, right? Maybe we need to change the name to like book festival. Maybe it may sound a little bit more engaging, because it's necessary. But if we talk about nation building, spaces like this is extremely necessary, to what you see in the future for your nation, right? That your nation is comfortable and have the confidence to contribute to writings and the development of themselves as individuals, and to really be confident in their in competing ideas. Right, because we contend with authors around the world, right? When we putting out our work, right? So I think that should be a part of our future, right?
So two things you
Yes.
said. When you mentioned about going into the classroom, I remember Ralph went to visit a Nero school sometime.
Oh,
And
yes.
he must have told her, like, I know your mom. She came home. She was so excited. Mommy, you know an author? So I was confused.
Wow.
Like, what are you talking about? Give me some more information. Then I realized it was Ralph. I said, but yes, Ralph know you. He knows you since before you were born. And she was
Yes.
just so excited. And then I had to take her to go get the book.
Of
My
course,
point
of
is,
course.
and they had this reading thing they had at the school, so I went to read to her class too, and I read a book from another local author that was at a book fair last year, a young girl.
Nice.
And
Yes.
I made sure to point out that this is someone just like you that went to school in St. Martin. They grew up here because the story was it was from Sarah about the dump
Yes, the
but the
environment.
dumping
Yes.
town, and it was so refreshing to be able to sit there and read for them and have a conversation with them about St. Martin. And
Yes.
I think the part about getting into the schools, my vision for book fair in a few years would be for it to be more than a fair, just once a year, but for it to become a proper organization. So then, we'll be able to be this space where youngsters who are interested in literature, reading, and just writing, drama, even, a club, even some kind of organization where we visit schools regularly. We have meetings, we have monthly, weekly events for, a place for the youths to come to, an outlet. We don't have the library right
Mm.
now.
Oh,
That used to be,
yes.
thinking of, I thought about that recently. After school, yes, when we had projects and stuff, we would go to the
You go
library,
to the
but it was like a
library.
hangout. Yes, but it
Yes.
was like a hangout.
Yes.
And I feel like that's something that's really missing for our youth right now. We're a small committee, but it is my vision that we'll grow to the point where we'll have an established location, and we have a nice program that's just intertwined into the way we function here on the island. That is my vision.
Yes.
Um,
Beautiful.
so we gotta start wrapping up.
Thank
I
you very
had a
much.
question about what opportunities do we see though for literature in this increasingly digital world?
Wow. You know,
Well, hmm,
Cindy.
Cindy again.
well, yeah, it's a challenge. I mean, there's so much we can use. I don't want us to be like have tech phobia, so to
Correct.
speak, right? But we have to write with integrity. That's the issue, right? Unfortunately, we don't appreciate the fact that um, sometimes we kind of underestimate the power the power of the pen, right? And the power of original ideas and original thought, and we rely so much on these technological spaces that again, we try to run away from them telling our story because that's what happens. When we go into these tech spaces, they kind of try to change your voice or what the intent of what you wanted to convey. And that I think is what we need to pay attention to in this AI and tech world.
Well,
That
mm,
because they're telling to me it's telling you what to think. It's telling you how to shape your ideas because all of these technological platforms have an agenda, right? And if we look at it from a global perspective, um, our ideas are not the main ideas in these systems. We are still feeding the system, right?
right.
The system is telling us, and who is building these systems are mainly Eurocentric people,
Hmm. So
and
there are
telling us
biases ingrained in them.
there are
Um,
biases ingrained in them on every level, and you have to be alert enough to understand it. I mean, it have its place, but you have to go into it being aware of what it's going to give you and what a relationship is going to be like, because it can easily guide you into some place that you probably not intended to go to,
but that's where
and
knowledge
can
comes in, Cindy. Um,
there you go.
knowledge comes in because it's there. We cannot run from it. So the
No,
key is
no.
to become aware of how these things function and see ways that we
Yes.
can leverage it. So it
Leverage.
yes, leverage it. Let it work for us in a positive way. What has been
Yes.
happening is that people, without proper knowledge of how to use certain systems and applications, they're just going on and just typing in something and then they're running with it. But the important thing there is your own expertise, your creativity is what should be used to guide whatever
So that,
output you're looking for. That's not where we at. But
no,
it's important to know that it's there. It's not going anywhere.
no, no.
Um, and just technology in general can be helpful. I really like to think back to that, our first virtual book fair.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
without technology, we would not have had a book fair that year.
No, no, no,
So,
no.
that
So I
is
said it has its place. It has its
exactly.
place.
AI now. George Lemon didn't have AI now. Kamal Bradford didn't have AI now. All of these great Caribbean writers, they didn't have AI. It came from their brain power and the critical thinking that they have developed within the system that was controlling them, that permit them to deliver the type of work that they delivered. And we need to do that. I am sure that that even if she does it today, Edwy Danica didn't start off with AI, and she have written some real good work. So I'm just saying we need to know ourselves, and we have to have a critical thinking of the space we live in it for us to now tell ourselves that we are apt or we are qualified to type in something on AI. That's how I see it. If you don't have that, leave AI alone.
Any
Yes.
closing remarks from either of you?
Yes, I would say thank you very much for curating this opportunity for us to really, have a roundtable discussion, and or we could say having a family chat, really. That's what we're having. I also would like to say that yes, that when we talk about critical thinking, integrity, being responsible, using AI, it is to like critical thinking, meaning to question what
Correct.
you're engaging with. That's all we're saying, because we are using fancy words, but it's really about you questioning what you're reading, questioning, what ideas are being presented to you, and that what makes your writing better when you question what you're engaging with, question what people are trying to tell you, and question, how can you enhance this particular idea that you're engaging with. So, see you at the book fair. That's what I would say. Thank you to our volunteers who continue and consistently. Thank you to our sponsors who are consistent in supporting us, because without you, we cannot have the St. Martin Book Fair. So, see you this weekend.
Shuja?
I'm all excited about book fair again, like always. So I am so happy that we are pulling off another one again. So if you ask me for my closing remark, I would say see you guys at book fair. It's going to be the best one ever. It's the first time we're doing this, what we are doing. So I know it's going to be good. So and the excitement hit me. Thank you guys for giving me this platform because of this platform today, it multiply the excitement within me that book fair is going to be good. Thanks a lot.